Imagine breaking into a cricketing scene as competitive as India's and then being likened to the legendary Rahul Dravid. Unimaginable pressure for some, but the perfect encouragement for this batsman from Rajkot. Cheteshwar Pujara took Indian cricket by storm, registering a number of impressive records and a whole horde of runs against his name in the domestic circuit and being part of several memorable international endeavours for the national team. One of them, of course, being India reclaiming the Border Gavaskar Trophy 2 years ago. Having recently completed a decade as an international cricketer, Cheteshwar now finds himself heading down under once more, up to the task of safeguarding that very trophy this time. Cheteshwar Pujara is our guest in this episode of Tissot Presents Sportstar Extras T20 Time.
Hello and welcome to Tissot Presents Sportstar Extras T20 Time. We have with us the wall Cheteshwar Pujara, something that he doesn't like. Welcome, Cheteshwar.
Thanks, Amol. How are you?
All good, all good. So, Cheteshwar, just to begin with, you recently completed a decade in international cricket. Does that make you feel too old now?
Not at all. I think I feel that I'm more experienced now, and that experience always comes handy. Also, it's always, when you start playing cricket, the time flies. So even looking at the international career, a decade has just passed, and without me realizing it, it has passed. So still looking forward for many more years. But yes, it has been really good so far. Can't complain at all. The way things have went, I've seen ups and downs, and that is always a part of cricketer's life or a sports person's life. So yes, so far I have really enjoyed my international cricket career.
Can you tell us the best memory of your test debut?
Well, the way I got out in first innings, it was a bit unfortunate. The ball kept low. And after that, Sachin Paji came to me and he had a word with me. He told me that even if I was batting on 100 and if I had got that ball, I would have got out. And he told me that your chances will come in the second inning. So I did believe in him, but at the same time I was crying in my room. It was my first game. I wanted to make a mark, but there was a failure in the first inning. So I was just, it was so disappointing on I think day one or day two. I clearly don't remember. But the moment I got my chance and the moment I scored those 72 runs, I was really, really happy. I think that was the happiest moment of my cricketing career.
And that was also the official stamp of you being the next wall, right? What did Dravid tell you when? What did he tell you when you eventually ended up replacing him and batting at number 3 in that second inning?
Well, I have had many interactions with Rahul Bhai. So even before I made my debut, I had a chat with him. I spoke to him that how I should progress, what should be the next step, because I was successful in Ranji Trophy. So the transition between first-class cricket to international cricket, what does it take? What are the commitments which are required? As a batsman, what are the challenges? So I spoke to him before that, and once I made my debut, he did congratulate me. After my 72, he told me it's really good the way you batted, the approach and all. But I still remember my chat with him in 2011 when we went to South Africa, and I was finding it really difficult to face Dale Steyn and Mauny Mokel in that particular series. And after that, I had a chat with him. I spoke to him that Rahul Bhai, the way I'm batting in India, I'm very comfortable because I have a lot of experience. But overseas, I'm finding it a little difficult. And after that, we had a chat, and the way he explained things, I usually don't explain technicalities, but his advice was really good. It helped me. I worked hard on my game. I implemented those things which I needed to do. And after that, I've been really successful overseas.
We'll obviously talk more about Australia, Rahul Dravid and Test cricket. But it's the T20 season, right? That's the flavor of the game. Not many would remember that Cheteshwar Pujara was a part of the first IPL in 2008.
Yeah.
Were you sort of a lost kid among all the buzz surrounding, the glamour surrounding the IPL back then?
I wasn't lost, but I was trying to figure out things, how IPL works. The way at that time T20 cricket was new to all the cricketers. So the way shots were played, not many players would have seen scoop shot against a fast bowler, or a reverse sweep against a fast bowler, or even against spinners. So at that time, players were trying to figure out how their game should be in T20 format. Whether you should take some time early on, whether you need to start taking the bowlers on from uh, first 6 overs. So people were trying to figure out things. I was the same. Being a youngster, I wanted to figure out my game, how I can approach the T20 format, and even the glamour part of IPL. Yes, you get to meet so many different celebrities. I was part of KKR, so I met SRK for the first time. Then even there were so many great players who were part of the team, KKR team. I was fortunate enough to interact with Dada, Ricky Ponting, then Brendan McCullum was there. Gail was part of KKR. So there were so many players whom I interacted with. I got to know about how they prepare, what what are the challenges for a player in T20 format and in international cricket. So I got to learn so many things from them.
You mentioned Brendan McCullum. Despite being a part of the KKR, you were not in Bangalore for the opening match. But correct me if I'm wrong. You watched it with Akash Chopra of all the people in a hotel room.
Yes.
What were you discussing?
We were just. I mean, as I said, it was a new format to all the players. The way Brendan was smashing the ball, we thought that not many players would have done that. And even if we look back at the IPL, that particular innings, I mean, it's very difficult to replicate that. Even now, I think it's one of the highest score in IPL. So yes, it was a special innings, and which came in very first game. So it was pleasure to watch. I don't think anyone could have discussed anything or could have done anything about it. The way he was smashing the ball, it was treat to watch.
Did you discuss that innings with him anytime afterwards?
I did discuss about cricket, not in particular about that innings, but the way he prepares. He also went through some injuries in his career. So how was his comeback from the injury? I had similar injury in my career. So I asked him what did he do to get out of the injury and come back fresh. When you start batting again, I mean, what sort of preparations he did, and also he has a different game. He understood his game little later. That is what he was saying. That initially he was very aggressive, but there were times where he had to curb his aggression, and he was just trying to bat normally. But when he realized that he had to back his strength, and that is when he became really, really successful.
You mentioned injuries, and this social media generation, the millennials so-called, they won't really remember that Cheteshwar Pujara's love affair with IPL, it's not really about not finding a team in auctions of late. It's actually got more to do with the spree of injury. 3 IPLs missed because of injuries. So how do you look back on your IPL stints?
Well, it has been challenging when we speak about injury part. I clearly remember about first injury, which was in 2008-9. During the IPL 2, we were playing one of the practice games. I was part of KKR then. So I was in a lot of pain when the injury happened, and I couldn't get off the field. I mean, I couldn't even move, so I had to be taken in the dressing room in a stretcher. So I was just worried that what will happen now? Whether will I be able to play cricket again? Will I be able to even walk? That was the worry initially. And then I was told that I'll have to go through rehabilitation. I'll have to undergo a knee surgery, which will take about 6 months to come back and play this game again. So it was really disappointing at that time. I couldn't take that. I couldn't believe that I can't play this game for about 6 months. and I was so worried. But fortunately, I had my family members, relatives who were always assisting me, who was always helping me, and eventually I came out of that injury, and I was fresh. I was raring to go. Uh, but the similar injury happened again in 2011 when I was playing for RCB, and I told myself this is something which is again really disappointing. But the good part was that I knew how to come back. I knew what will it take to come back again to start scoring runs again. So I was prepared that this is the time it will take. But physically, yes, it's still demanding. It is always challenging when you're not playing this game for about 6 months. Your rhythm goes away. As a batsman, I was finding it difficult to get my backlift back. My footwork was not up to the mark, so it takes a little bit of time. But yes, I again that challenge taught me many things. And if I am successful today, if I look back at those injuries, I feel that I became a stronger person. I became a better player. I realized the importance of fitness. So overall, it has helped me in my career. But this is something which was unavoidable. Yes, I was really disappointed to get those injuries. But it is players. It is a cricketer's career's part that you will get injuries somewhere down the line, but it makes you a stronger player.
Despite your limited exposure in IPL, Cheteshwar, you are one of the very few batsmen to have opened an IPL innings with Virender Sehwag and Chris Gayle both. Can you just tell us how similar or different they are when it comes to batting together?
There are many similarities between Gayle and Virubhai. I think both of them likes to take on the bowlers. On the crease, when you are batting with them, they are quite relaxed and they are fun-loving. They will enjoy being at the crease. There won't be any pressure, even although there is some pressure, but they know how to handle the pressure, so it doesn't affect them much. And in terms of preparation, I think Gayle is someone who all of us know the way he hits the ball. Even in net sessions, when I saw him in RCB, KKR, the way he was hitting the ball out of the park, even in the net session, you know that this is the way he wants to bat, even in the game. So his preparation was very similar. When it comes to Virupaji, I think he had both. He could take on the bowlers, but there were times when he was playing Test cricket. Yes, even during Test cricket, he wanted to take on the bowlers, but there were times where if he wanted to defend the ball, he could. And I'm sure the way he has batted throughout his career has taught many young generation players to approach their test career. Someone like David Warner has interacted and he has openly spoken about his chat with Virender Sehwag. So both had many similarities, but in terms of preparation, they had slightly different preparation. But overall, if you look at their approach at the crease and even off the field, it matches a lot. And I had this pleasure of batting with both of them. And especially when it comes to Virupaji, I also had opportunity to bat with him in the Indian team. So I learned many things, because when you want to handle the pressure, you want to know from such cricketers, such senior players, that what do they do, and to stay relaxed, you have to keep negative thoughts away from you. So I think I've gained many things from Chris Gayle as well as Virupaji.
Can you cite an instance, an example, it could absolutely be anything when it comes to batting with them that made you eventually, or maybe now when you look back on it, it makes you feel that yes, that was one of the critical moments as such?
Well, when I spoke to Virupaji that what should I do to be as successful as I am in Ranji Trophy, so he told me that you have everything. I think it's just about believing in yourself, trusting what you do, trust your preparation, and to stay relaxed, because at the end, I mean, when you have done all the hard work, when you have prepared well, but if you try and put extra pressure on yourself, then you can't be natural in your batting. So he told me the importance of being relaxed when you are at the crease. But I've seen his preparation. By being relaxed means that you have to work hard on your preparation. You have to prepare really really well. But when you are at the crease, then you have to be relaxed. Let your reflexes take on. You just watch the ball, and then your instincts will follow.
And Gail, is he a better singer than Sehwag?
Well, I think it'll be a tie. I would say it'll be a tie. For me, both of them has really been entertaining. So I would say it'll be a tie if both of them are singing.
You are someone who likes to take your own sweet time when it comes to playing a long haul. But in a format as short as T20, how crucial does the concept of time become?
Well, it also depends on what number you are batting. If you are batting top of the order, you still need to see take few balls to just get in and then start taking on the bowler. But yes, definitely, if we compare the time to Test format or ODI format, you don't have much time. You just have to start taking on the bowlers. But I still feel I mean, if anyone has been watching IPL, I still feel that the best players who trust their own game, when there's a situation, they will take time, but they know when to take couple of balls, when to leave few balls, and then take on the bowlers. So yes, I mean, you need to have the right balance, but most of the times you have to be aggressive in your mind, even if you're defending.
When it comes to playing for India or playing for Saurashtra, whether you're batting at 3 or 4, most other times you spend time reciting your stotras and getting into the batting zone as such. How do you manage when it comes to T20 then? There is very little time between toss and stepping out to bat, since you end up opening the innings most of the time of late. So how do you manage that time?
I think that there is a set routine when it comes to test format. You need extra time throughout the day because it's a long day. But when it comes to T20 format, you know that the game will get over in 3.5, 4 hours. You don't, I mean, the time between the toss and when you walk into bat is less. But I prefer it that way because you are done with your warm up. Your body is warmed up. When you walk into bat, you want a lot of energy when you walk in. So it helps because your body is ready. If there is a loose ball or which might come on, even if it's a first delivery, and if you want to put it away for a 4 or a 6, you should be charged up. You should be ready. You should have a lot of energy for that. And if you have less time between warm up and when the game starts, it does help. But longer format, you know that you will have to sustain your energy. You will need more time throughout the day. So once the warm up finishes, you just want to relax. Mentally also, you need little more time before the game starts. So the more time in longer format always helps, and shorter time I always enjoy it when I'm playing T20 format because I'm ready. I just want to walk in and just play my game.
You spoke about having completed a decade in the international cricket at the start, but the first test in Australia would most likely clash with your 15-year anniversary in first class cricket. So how have you evolved on and off the field in all these years?
It has been a remarkable journey, and when it comes to first class cricket, I have fond memories of playing for Saurashtra, then moving on to playing Duleep Trophy, Devdutt Trophy, then being part of the India 8 tours. My first tour was in 2007-8 when I went to Australia with the A team, and then we went to UK, and there have been many A tours which I've been part of. I've also played county cricket, which is part of first class cricket. So the first class cricket journey has been really good. And if I'm a good test player, the main reason behind it is I've played so many first class games. I've gained a lot of experience. I've played in different conditions, different environment. So it does help. And I would always suggest a young player to play as many first class games as possible. Doesn't matter which format. But if you want to become a good player at the international level, having played first-class cricket does help.
During those 15 years, Cheteshwar, on the field, when it comes to all the dressing rooms you have been part of, you started off with being Chintu, moved on to being Pooji, then Chintu Bhai. During all this evolution of the field, Cheteshwar or Chintu has remained as he was. How have you managed to do it?
Well, I try and keep my personal life and cricketing life separate. I'm sure there is a big connect, but as long as you can balance your life, it helps because when you are at home, you don't want to talk much about cricket. Although I have to because my father is my coach. My wife has also started understanding cricket, so she also discusses cricket sometimes. But yes, you have to strike the right balance. When you are at home, you just want to relax, not to talk much about cricket. And even in your life, I think yes, I mean when you are on field, when you are practicing, when you are following a routine, your focus has to be on the game. Or if you are doing fitness, your focus has to be on fitness. But when you are not part of any of your cricketing routine, you just want to switch off. So I think I've found that right balance of switching on and switching off. That is the most important thing to do to survive and to maintain that balance. Because if I've got success, I'm still the same. If I've got failure, I'm still the same. I think my success and failure doesn't affect me much now because over a period of time you start realizing that process is more important than the outcome. So I strongly believe in my preparation, in my process which I follow.
You are one of those many top sports persons across the world who have had pushy fathers, if I may use that term. But unlike most of them, you are someone who still has maintained that emotional connect with your father. How have both of you managed to make it happen?
Initially, we had many arguments, but overall, if we talk about cricket, ultimately we both of us want the same thing: is to be successful individually and collectively. So yes, I want to score runs, and I want to score runs when the team is winning. So the best moment of my entire cricketing career, one can say, is probably winning the series in Australia when I performed well to help the team win the series. So yes, I mean there have been challenges with my father when we talk about cricket, when we talk about technique. There have been times where we have arguments, but ultimately we come to a conclusion where we figure out a way to move forward. And as I said, both of us always want one thing, which is to be contributing to the team's success, to score runs, and to score runs consistently. So we always figure out a way where to move forward. And recently, my wife has been really helpful in that. She also communicates with my father that there are times where I need to switch off. There are times where I need some space. So the communication part also helps, and yes, my wife has been helpful recently.
So, was there a specific moment that sort of triggered the need to keep things different on and off the field, or to strike that balance?
There was a time when I was about 21, 22 years old. I was so much focused on the game, and my failure used to affect me, if I'm very honest. And then I thought that I couldn't live a normal life when I used to fail. If there was a failure on the field, even in the evening, I used to be sad. I didn't know what to do. I mean, I couldn't focus on anything else. If I had ordered dinner, I didn't feel like eating much. I never felt like watching something on TV or doing any other activity. But then later on, I've realized that I mean, even if there is a failure, you still need to move on, and that is the most important thing. Because if you don't learn from your failure, if you can't move on from your failure, then success won't follow, because you are just focusing too much on your failure rather than what is the next opportunity. So I started focusing on what I had to do to come out of the failure. Yeah.
That was also the phase when you were desperately waiting for that Apna time aayega, right? that sort of a phase, right? You
Yes.
were scoring heavily on domestic circuit, being a part, but still waiting for that chance when it comes to playing international cricket. Cut to now, a decade on, there are 55 Pujaras in Indian cricket. There's so much of exposure thanks to increased India A tours that everyone feels
Yeah.
that I'm almost there, but it's not happening. How do you eventually interact? As in, what do you tell these guys when you interact with them?
See, one thing is you need to be patient enough, and consistency always helps. If you are performing consistently in India too, if we look at current Indian cricket, there are so many opportunities as well. There are so many tours which are happening. There have been injuries in between, so you will get some exposure at some level. Whether it could be in T20 format, it can be in IPL, it can be in ODI cricket. Even the Test team has many youngsters now, so there are many vacancies in Test format also. So one has to stay patient enough and keep following. As I mentioned, the process is important. You need to, even as a youngster, you need to follow the process. You need to keep scoring runs, because if you are successful in 1 year, that means that you need to repeat the performance or even get better in the next year. When it comes to domestic cricket or India A2s, if you have scored runs in one particular calendar year, you need to make sure that the next year is as good as the previous year, or it should be better than that. So I would say that to keep at it, not to get discouraged if you don't get enough opportunities, because nowadays if we look at overall the amount of cricket which is played, which is significantly on a higher side, there are players who are taking breaks in some series. The workload is on the higher side. The players who are playing all the formats, so there will be some opportunity at some stage.
On that note, let's look at what lies ahead now. The warm-up game in Australia, which
Yeah.
is most probably going to happen before the first test, it would be your first competitive game in almost 9 months. Do you ever remember having such a long gap when you were not out of action, when you were not injured?
No, I don't think so. This is the first time I've been at home for such a long time. As far as I remember, when I started playing cricket for Saurashtra, even at junior level, I think this is the first time since then, when I was 12, 13 years old. This is the first time I've stayed in Rajkot for such a long time. So this has never happened. I've been part of some or the other game. I've been playing some cricket or the other. So this will be the first time it will happen. But if we look at the current situation, the COVID thing has never happened in the past. So many people have gone through some difficult times, and many people have learned so many things because of this. So the situation is such which is uncontrollable. Nothing can be done about it. I mean, even if I want to play any matches, I couldn't have, because there's no option. I'm not missing out on anything. This is the situation which is in front of me, and I'll try and make the best use of what I'll get in Australia. It is important to stay in touch. I do agree, but if I don't get an option, I can't help it. I mean, that can't be an excuse. I'll try and make use of the practice days, the practice games, and be prepared for the tour, because I knew that this tour is coming. So even back home, I had this thing in my mind, and I was preparing that I might not get enough match practice before the actual tour starts, but I'll just have to mentally be ready for it.
How do you plan to tackle this challenge of not enough, as in virtually no match practice, getting in straight away into a test match?
It is, I think the most important part is mental preparation. Physically, I've been training well, I've been practicing well. So skill and fitness part is covered. But not having played enough match is something which can be psychological as well. So mentally, if you think that yes, you are in the zone. It might take some time, but as long as you are mentally prepared, as long as I'm confident that I can pull it off, then it's always matter of one inning. I mean, the moment I get one inning, which is where I'm facing some balls, where I'm getting 50 or 100, then I'll feel that I'm back to my rhythm from where I left before 9 months or a year.
Or maybe a little longer, considering you are resuming in Australia. You can just carry on from where you left off during the last tour.
Well, I wouldn't think much about the last tour. Yes, there were so many positives in the last tour, but it'll be a fresh start for sure. So you can't just live in past and just be happy about it. Yes, it was a wonderful tour. All of us were really happy. But this is a fresh challenge. This is a fresh start. So one has to look at it as a new challenge. And yes, one can remember from the experience that what to expect, what might be their strategy. Their bowling lineup is very similar. So you have faced them in the past, so you know what to expect. That can help in my preparation. But yes, it'll be a new challenge for sure, and one can't take Australian team lightly.
Besides helping India win a rare series in Australia, do you think your performance sort of revived that faith of aspiring to be a test cricketer? Do you look at it that way, as in, because every other kid nowadays wants to play only IPL, let's face it.
That is a challenge which all the young generation or young players are facing, that most of them, when you speak to them, they want to be part of IPL, and maybe some of them don't want to play test cricket, which is a fact which one will have to accept. But at the same time, if you speak to great players of this game who are current and the players who have been in the past, all of them have always told the importance of test cricket, and that is the most challenging format of this game, where your technique, your temperament, everything is challenged. So even some of the youngsters do understand the importance of it, but yes, majority of them might want to play IPL, which is because of glamour, fame, financial. I mean, they get paid more. But I'm sure the BCCI is looking into it. ICC has also started the World Test Championship, which will give little more importance to Test cricket. And when I speak to them, I mean, my advice is always it'll remain the same, that the most important format of this game will always be Test cricket. I'm sure that they should focus on ODIs and T20, ODI and T20 format also. There's nothing wrong in it. I think if a youngster can play all three formats, then there's nothing like it. Because if you look at number of test matches which are played in a calendar year, it's slightly less compared to other formats. So they should not be missing out on anything. But yes, your priority should always remain test cricket.
Considering there is very little cricket having been played in India, when it comes to longer format, no India player has any sort of practice getting into the series, plus return of Smith and Warner to Australian folds. How challenging would it be to defend the Border Gavaskar Trophy?
It will be challenging, no doubt about it, but our team is very confident now, especially from the last tour. There were many positives. Yes, we did win the series, but even apart from winning the series, if we look at the way we played cricket, there were many players who performed. It was a collective effort. So, and I would especially like to mention our bowlers, our fast bowlers, the way they bowled. It was incredible. I think they've gained a lot of confidence from it. So we are a much stronger unit now. Yes, their side is much stronger now, especially their batting lineup with Smith and Warner. It won't be easy, but I feel I'm still very confident that if we start off well, if the guys are prepared physically, I think I'm sure all the players are prepared. But mentally, if we are up for it, if we are confident about beating them, then we will. Because as long as we are confident, as long as we perform to our potential, I'm sure the talent which is there in this team has the potential to repeat what had happened in past. But yes, I still feel that it has never been easy to beat Australia in Australia. Even if you look at the last tour, it was never easy. They They put up a good show throughout the series. So I feel that yes, it will be challenging, but we can definitely do it if we play to our potential.
Thanks a lot, Cheteshwar. I have got my Tissot C-Star watch. I hope yours is on the way too. Good
Cheers,
luck.
cheers, man. Thanks,
Thank
thanks
you.
a lot.